Lila hurried through the bustling streets of New York, the pulse of the city a familiar rhythm, horns blaring, shoes scuffing, voices overlapping in a morning rush. Her navy coat flapped against her knees, her briefcase swung in hand, and her phone buzzed with unread emails. A project deadline loomed, and the subway station ahead was her finish line. She moved with purpose, eyes fixed forward, barely noticing the faces in the crowd. Then, something stopped her. A man sat against the wall of a shuttered deli, his presence quiet amid the chaos. No cup, no plea, just a tattered sign, still here, still human. His gray-streaked beard framed a weathered face, dark eyes steady, skin roughened by sun and time. Lila almost stepped past, but a flash of gold caught her eye. On his wrist, a watch, worn and scratched, its leather strap cracked in a familiar arc. Her breath hitched. That watch. Her father's watch. She was 8 again, curled on the couch, tracing that same crack as Dad, Henry Cole, told her tales of stars and storms. He'd vanished a decade ago, no call, no trace, just a promise to return, when the winds shift. The watch disappeared with him. Now, here it was, on a stranger. Lila's heart pounded, her heels rooted to the pavement. The man's gaze lifted, calm, almost knowing, locking with hers. "Morning," he rasped, voice low but warm. Lila swallowed, clutching her briefcase. "That watch, where'd you get it?" He glanced at it, then back, eyes unreadable. "A gift. From a man who saved me." Her world tilted. Who was this stranger, and what did he know about her father? Lila stood frozen, the city's clamor fading to a dull hum as her eyes stayed glued to the watch on the man's wrist. Her father's initials, HC, were scratched faintly into the gold casing, just as she remembered. Her pulse raced, a mix of disbelief and a strange, aching hope. She crouched down, the hem of her coat brushing the gritty sidewalk, her voice shaky. "Who gave you that watch? Please, tell me." The man tilted his head, studying her with quiet intensity. "Name's Jonah," he said, his tone steady, weathered like driftwood. "Got this from a fella named Henry. Changed my life, he did." Lila's chest tightened. Henry. Her father's name. She hadn't spoken it aloud in years, not since the night he'd hugged her tight, whispered, "Stay strong, my star," and slipped away into the dark. No note, no answers, just silence. "Where'd you meet him?" she pressed, her fingers trembling on her briefcase. Jonah's gaze drifted, not evasive, but heavy with memory. "Years back, down by the docks. I was a mess, lost my job, my home, sleeping under tarps. He sat with me, shared a coffee, didn't judge. Gave me this watch, said it'd remind me time still moves, even when you're stuck." Lila's throat burned. "Henry Cole?" she whispered. Jonah's eyes flicked back, a spark of recognition flaring. He nodded slowly. "That's him." Never said much about himself, but he carried a weight, like he'd left something precious behind. Her mind spun her father, helping this man, while she'd grown up thinking he'd forgotten her. The subway rumbled nearby, but Lila couldn't move. "Did he say anything about me?" she asked, voice breaking. Jonah paused, then spoke softly. "He mentioned a star he'd lost." Lila's breath caught, Jonah's words ringing in her ears. A star he'd lost. Her father's nickname for her, "my star," echoed from a decade ago, when he'd point to the sky, promising to guide her like the constellations. She blinked back tears, the memory sharp against the grimy sidewalk where Jonah sat, his calm eyes watching her. The city buzzed, cars honking, a vendor shouting about bagels, but it all felt distant, unreal. "Lost me?" Lila murmured, crouching closer, her coat now smudged with dust. What did he mean? Jonah rubbed the cracked leather of the watch, his calloused fingers gentle. "He didn't say much, miss. Just sat with me one rainy night, staring at the river. Said he'd left a star behind to keep it safe, to let it shine without his shadows." Her heart thudded. Shadows. What had driven him away? She studied Jonah. His worn jacket, the gray in his beard, the quiet dignity in his posture. "When was this?" she asked. "Winter, 2016," Jonah replied. "He found me fixing crates for scraps. Gave me a blanket, some cash, this watch. Said, time's a gift, Jonah use it to rebuild." Lila's mind raced. 2016, she'd been 14, angry, scrawling in her diary that her dad didn't care, while he was out here, helping a stranger. Did he look okay? Healthy? Her voice trembled. Jonah's gaze softened, hesitant. Tired, thin, coughing some, but he brushed it off. Kept moving, helping folks like me. A chill ran through her. Was he sick even then? The watch glinted, a fragile link to a man she'd lost. Lila stood, legs shaky. I need to know more, Jonah. He nodded. Come back tomorrow. He left something. Said I'd know when to pass it on. Lila barely slept, the city's neon glow seeping through her apartment curtains, casting restless shadows across her bed. Jonah's words, he left something, churned in her mind, tangled with memories of her father's laugh, his warm hands, and that final promise. I'll guide you, my star. The watch, Jonah, the shadows, he'd fled, none of it made sense. She tossed aside her blanket, the clock glowing 3:17 a.m., and stared at the ceiling, questions burning. By morning, rain slicked the streets, a steady drizzle hissing against asphalt. Lila pulled on a gray hoodie, her sneakers splashing through puddles as she retraced her path to the shuttered deli. Her heart raced. What if Jonah wasn't there? But he was, tucked under a faded awning, the watch glinting wetly on his wrist, his sign soggy but steady, still here, still human. He looked up, a faint smile creasing his weathered face. You came back. When did he leave? Lila asked, crouching, rain beating on her hood. Jonah reached into his jacket, pulling out a small, tarnished key on a frayed string, the metal cold and scratched. This, he said. Henry gave it to me, years ago. Said if someone came asking, someone with his star's light, I'd know to hand it over. Lila's fingers trembled as she took it, the key heavy in her palm. What's it for? A locker, Jonah said, voice low. Down at the old storage place, Pier 17. He didn't tell me what's inside, just said it'd matter to the right person. Rain dripped from the awning, the city's hum muted. Lila's pulse quickened, Pier 17, a clue to her father's silence. Thank you, Jonah, she whispered. He nodded. Go find your star, miss. She turned, key clutched tight, the rain hiding her tears. Lila gripped the key, its tarnished edges biting into her palm as she navigated the rain-soaked streets toward Pier 17. The city blurred, taxis splashing puddles, umbrellas bobbing, the scent of wet concrete thick in the air. Her sneakers squelched, her hoodie clung damply to her shoulders, but her focus was razor-sharp. What had her father left? Why hide it with Jonah? The storage facility loomed ahead, a gray, squat building by the river, its sign faded, windows streaked with grime. Inside, fluorescent lights buzzed, casting a cold glow over rows of metal doors. Lila's breath hitched as she scanned the numbers, L12, L13, then L14. The key slid into the lock, stiff at first, then clicking with a reluctant groan. She pulled the door open, the hinges creaking, revealing a single item. A battered tin box, rusted at the edges, sitting alone in the dim space. Her hands shook as she knelt, lifting the lid. A photo stared back. Lila, age 7, grinning gap-toothed on a swing, her father's hand steadying her. His handwriting scrawled on the back. My star, soaring, the 12th of March 14. Tears stung her eyes. Beneath it, a stack of envelopes, yellowed and worn, each labeled, to Lila, in his slanted script. No stamps, never sent. She lifted one, fingers trembling, and tore it open. My dearest star, it began, I'm sorry I left. Not because I wanted to, but to keep you from the storm I carried. I watch from afar, loving you always. Dad. Lila's chest tightened, a sob catching. He hadn't forgotten. The rain drummed the roof, echoing her racing heart. What storm? Why hide this? She clutched the letter, the box, and turned back toward Jonah, needing answers, needing more of her father's truth. Lila stumbled back through the rain, the tin box tucked under her hoodie, the letters inside pressing against her chest like a fragile heartbeat. The city's pulse, horns, chatter, the hiss of wet tires, felt distant, drowned by her father's words. To keep you from the storm I carried. What storm? Her mind raced, replaying childhood nights, his gentle voice, his sudden exit, her mother's tight-lipped silence. The photo of her on the swing burned in her thoughts. Jonah still sat under the awning, rain dripping around him, the watch glinting on his wrist. His eyes met hers, calm but searching, as she approached, soaked and breathless. You found it, he said, not a question. Lila nodded, sinking to the curb beside him, the box cradled in her lap. Letters, she whispered. From him. He said he left to protect me. What storm, Jonah? What chased him away? Jonah's gaze drifted to the river, rain streaking the air. Henry didn't spill much, he began, voice rough but steady. Met him in 16, like I said. He'd been drifting, odd jobs, shelters. Told me his family gave him a choice. Cut ties with you and your mom, or face their wrath, money, threats, all of it. Said he picked silence to shield you from their fight. Lila's breath hitched. Her grandparents, stern, wealthy, cold, had never approved of her dad. He was hurting, Jonah added. Coughed a lot, looked worn. Still, he helped me. Got me work, a cot in a warehouse. Gave me this watch, said it'd keep me going. Lila's eyes stung, rain mixing with tears. Why not come back? She choked. Jonah hesitated. He was scared, miss. Scared the storm would swallow you too. Lila gripped the box, needing more. Lila sat beside Jonah, the rain a steady murmur, the tin box cold and heavy in her lap. Her father's words from the letter echoed, to shield you from their fight, and Jonah's story of her grandparents' ultimatum stung deep. She'd always sensed their disapproval, their clipped visits, but this? Forcing him away? Her hands trembled as she opened another letter, the paper crinkling, ink faded but clear. My star, I saw you at the park today, September 18, 15, riding your bike. I hid, cried, wished I could cheer. They'd ruin you if I stayed. I love you. Dad. Tears spilled, blurring the words. He'd been there, watching, loving her in secret. Lila looked at Jonah, his face weathered, eyes steady. He was sick, wasn't he? She asked, voice cracking. Jonah nodded slowly, rubbing the watch. Yeah, cough got worse, spring, 18. I'd see him at the docks, weaker each time, but he'd still haul boxes, help folks. Never said it was cancer. Found out later, from a nurse he knew. Cancer? Lila's chest caved, a sob escaping. Why hide it? Jonah sighed, gaze distant. Henry said pity's a thief. Didn't want you seeing him fade, didn't want his family twisting it against your mom. He fought quiet, chemo, odd jobs, still left food for me when I was low. Lila pictured him, thin, tired, still giving. Last time I saw him, Jonah said, 19, he held this watch, said, if my star finds you, tell her I never stopped. Lila's fingers brushed the box, the photo, the unsent love inside. Anger, at her grandparents, his silence, mixed with grief and awe. He died alone? She whispered. No, Jonah said. I sat with him, hospice by the river. He smiled, thinking of you. Her heart broke, but a piece clicked into place. Lila's tears mingled with the rain, the tin box of letters a lifeline in her hands as Jonah's words sank in. Her father, Henry, fighting cancer, sitting with Jonah in his final days, still clutching hope for her. The city moved on, pedestrians splashing past, lights flickering through the drizzle, but time slowed for Lila. She traced the watch on Jonah's wrist, its cracked leather and faint HC engraving a quiet testament to a love she'd doubted for a decade. Why me? She asked, voice raw. Why'd he trust you with this? Jonah's eyes, deep and steady, met hers. He saw you in me, I think, lost, needing a hand. Winter, 19, he was fading, held this watch, said, Jonah, my star might find you. Give her the key, the truth. Tell her I left to save her, not to forget. I promised. Lila's chest ached, a knot of grief and clarity unraveling. She opened another letter, the paper soft, worn. My star, December 25, 17. I watched you open gifts from blocks away. Your smile's my north. I'm sick, but I won't burden you. Stay bright. Dad. He'd never stop carrying her. Lila looked at Jonah, his worn jacket soaked, his dignity unshaken. You kept his promise, she said softly. He nodded. He gave me a start, work, hope. I owed him. Lila stood, the rain easing, a faint sun piercing the clouds. I hated him, Jonah. Thought he abandoned me. Jonah's voice was gentle. He carried you, miss, every day. Your picture in his coat, your name in his breath. She clutched the box, the watch's tick a steady pulse. An idea sparked. Honor him, not with anger, but action. I need to do something, she whispered, eyes bright with purpose, the storm lifting at last. Lila stood in the fading rain, the tin box of letters tucked under her arm, the weight of her father's love, silent but steady, settling in her chest. The city hummed, cars sloshing through puddles, a distant siren wailing, but a fire sparked inside her. Jonah watched, his gray-streaked beard damp, the watch glinting on his wrist. "What's next, miss?" he asked, voice warm, grounded. Lila's eyes shone, a mix of grief and resolve. "I need to make this mean something, Jonah, for him, for you." Days blurred into action. Lila dialed numbers, filled forms, knocked on doors, community centers, shelters, local shops. She pitched a vision. Stars Reach, a quiet initiative to help the unseen, food for the hungry, clothes for the cold, no fanfare, just kindness. Her father's way. She funded it with savings, her heart racing as she sketched plans, his letters spread across her table. "My star, the 9th of April 16, you're strong. I'm weak, but I'll lift others for you. Dad." His words drove her. She returned to Jonah, a paper bag in hand, warm soup, a new jacket. He nodded, grateful, eyes steady. "You're like him," he said, sipping the broth. He'd sit, share, build you up without a sound. Lila smiled, faint but real. "I'm getting you a place, Jonah, a room, a start." He paused, hands trembling. "Don't need to, miss." "I want to," she replied, echoing her father's gift. Weeks later, a small crowd gathered at a community hall. Lila stood, nervous, the watch ticking on her wrist. "My dad, Henry Cole, taught me love doesn't shout," she said. "It lifts quietly. Stars Reach is his light, ours." Jonah, in a clean shirt, sat up front, eyes wet. Lila met his gaze, feeling her father there, guiding still. Lila stood by a freshly carved bench near the Pier 17 storage facility, the river glinting under a pale morning sun. The wood gleamed, simple but sturdy, a brass plaque fixed to its back, for Henry Cole, who lifted the lost, and his star, who found him. A small crowd lingered. Volunteers from Stars Reach, a few locals, their voices soft, respectful. Jonah sat beside her, his worn jacket swapped for a laundered sweater, the watch still on his wrist, ticking steady. The air smelled of salt and coffee, a new day unfolding. Lila's fingers brushed the plaque, cool and smooth, her heart full, grief softened by purpose. She'd built Stars Reach, delivering meals, blankets, and hope to dozens, quietly, like her father had for Jonah. The letters, now framed in her apartment, whispered his love daily. "My star, you're my sky. I'm here, always. Dad." She wore his watch, its cracked leather a bond, not a burden. Jonah glanced at her, eyes bright. "He'd be proud, miss. You're shining for him." Lila nodded, a tear slipping free, not from loss, but peace. "I thought he left me, Jonah. Now I know he stayed, in you, in this." She gestured to the bench, the crowd. "You kept him alive." Jonah smiled, rare and warm. "He gave me time, you gave me a home. We carry him together." The crowd dispersed, leaving them in quiet. Lila sat, the bench solid beneath her, the river flowing past. "He loved this spot," Jonah said. "Watched the water, thought of you." Lila closed her eyes, the watch's tick blending with her heartbeat. She wasn't alone. Her father's light endured, in Jonah, in Stars Reach, in her. "Thank you, Dad," she whispered, found at last.